Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. Oh, it feels like it's been a long week, but it's finally Friday. I'm sure everyone is pleased about that, except for the people that have to work this weekend. Big shout out to all my nurse friends who have to work this weekend. Hang in there. Monday will be here soon, unless you also have to work on Monday. So last week I mentioned that I would be posting a video this week about my experience working as an OB nurse while also struggling with infertility and pregnancy loss. So I've had a couple of people ask me about how I dealt with that, and I thought that it's an important video to share. And I've been thinking a lot about it over this past week, and it has the potential to be kind of a heavy video, and it's honestly a 2-part video. And the second part of this, I'm not really sure when I will film it or if I ever will film it, to be perfectly honest with you. But I guess I'll start with, really the big question is, how I know a lot of women that struggle with infertility and pregnancy loss struggle just being in the same room with another woman that is pregnant, or being in the same room with children. It just is like a lot of women feel like that it's just like right there, smack dab in your face, the thing that your heart most desires and wants, and you can't have, but it's right there, and that other person gets to have it and you don't. I think that women, when we grow up as children, as girls, I think maybe it's shifting a little bit, but definitely, I'm 37 years old. Little girls are kind of brought up knowing that you'll get married and you'll have children. It's kind of like your birthright, whether or not people like explicitly tell them that, but that's something like, that's literally what our bodies do. We give birth. And you might have a career. I think a lot of women, more than not at this point, you'll have a career, but you'll also get married and you'll have children. So I think it's safe to say that a lot of women growing up, not everyone, I'll lay that disclaimer, not everyone wants to have children, and that's perfectly fine. But I think of the women that do, no one thinks that, when the time comes, that it's not going to work and it's not going to happen. So I started my nursing career in 2004, which feels like about a million years ago, and it makes me feel really, really old. But straight out of school, I went into OB. I did labor and delivery, and I honestly have always been very much a birth junkie. I think that pregnancy and childbirth and postpartum, the whole thing is just kind of amazing, that like women's bodies grow these people. Like, we grow people. We populate the earth. It's just like, it doesn't matter how many years they do it for. It's just an endlessly amazing, amazing thing. And it's even more amazing to be able to witness a child being born and to be part of the formation of a new family, if even for, a few hours. I've just always found that to be just like a really, really cool experience. So for most of my nursing years, I've been a nurse it'll be 15 years this year. Most of that time has been working in OB in some facets. So either labor and delivery, I've worked in nursery, and I've also done postpartum. Majority of all of that, postpartum, like mom baby, was kind of like my niche. I really love mom baby, which a lot of nurses don't. I love it, whatever. That's maybe a different video. So, yeah, how did I emotionally deal with, the one thing that really kind of should have haunted me just because, we tried for so many years to get pregnant, and had losses in there, lots of different treatments. It's just, it's very heavy. And I can honestly say that the way that I chose to deal with going to work day in and day out, being exposed to pregnant women, just giving birth, and like some of the happiest moments of their lives, was very much a conscious choice on my part. And that was to just remind myself that like my path is my own, and it truly and honestly has nothing to do with anybody else. It just doesn't. And I think a lot of people like logically know that, but they don't necessarily know that in their heart. And it was just something that I told myself every single day. And I think obviously that it helped that I was so passionate about my work. I love nothing more than like helping a brand new mom with her baby and with breastfeeding and all of that. I just love that. And infertility has given me such, honestly, seemingly an endless amount of empathy. Okay, which again was a choice on my part. I think I knew early on that infertility was going to change me somehow. And I could be a bitter, angry, sad person, or I could let it help me evolve into the person that I'm supposed to be, even if I didn't really have a sense of what that person was. But I think by nature, I am a very empathetic person. So having struggled with infertility, a lot of people will ask me, oh my gosh, how did you, wanting to start your own family and being unable to do so, how did you deal with the moms that came in with, drug addicted babies, or, moms that were having their children taken away by DCFS or whatever? That must have made you so mad. And honestly, it doesn't. It didn't. And I think that is because, on the surface, these are bad people. These are bad parents. But the reality is that you don't know anyone else's life. You don't know the path they're walking. The seemingly perfect mom and dad with their perfect baby, you have no idea what their life is like or what they have gone through. And it's very easy to pass judgment on people that we feel are less than. And if anything, the people, the women that would come in that, had been doing drugs during their entire pregnancy, or knew that their child was going to be taken away for one reason or another, I honestly feel like, I took great care of all. Got a little interrupted there. I got a phone call. So what was I saying? Oh, take great care of all of my patients. But, the fact that whether or not we think that what someone else has done is right or wrong doesn't negate the fact that they are in a really terrible situation. And if anything, I honestly, I just wanted to show them as much love and compassion as I could and treat them like they are a human being, because, whether or not you want to think that your own preconceived notions about someone affects the way that you treat them, whether or not you think that that's the case, it's usually the case. And people aren't stupid, and they can feel even just like the slightest bit of judgment, they can feel that, especially being in a situation that is less than ideal. I think these women are even more sensitive. They're hypersensitive to the feelings of being judged. And at the end of the day, that's not why I was there. I'm not there to make a determination on someone's life and let that even subconsciously guide the way that I care for them. So it was very much an effort on my part to not pass judgment on them. And just as simple things like, talking to them about their lives. If, trying to make the time to sit down at their bedside as opposed to like standing up over them, but sit down, look them in the eye and talk to them. Talk to them about their baby, talk to them about what they want, what their goals are, what their life is like. And I honestly feel like that goes such a long way. And it seems so simple to just like, treat them like they're a human being. It's not a novel idea. And we might think that, well, of course, that's how I treat all of my patients, but that's not the case. It's really not the case. So, kind of attacking those situations from the standpoint of love and empathy really kind of allowed me to implement that even just kind of in my personal life, or even when I was just like out and about or whatever. It's like, struggling with infertility and loss. And, like I said, sometimes just seeing a pregnant woman can be so triggering. But when you have that knee-jerk, like, sad reaction, I think it's important to stop and remind yourself that this is literally a stranger that has nothing to do with you. But also, you don't know that person's life. You don't know that person isn't another infertility warrior who has been struggling for years and this is finally their rainbow baby. And I would never want to begrudge anyone that. So that's the easy answer, I suppose, to that question. And it's just, I loved my job. I was very passionate about it. I'm not currently working. Actually, the phone call I just got was the school that I taught for last semester wanting to know if I wanted to teach theory for the remainder of this semester. The answer is no, I don't. I'm not interested in teaching in the classroom, at least not at this point. I taught a clinical last semester or whatever. But ultimately, I do think that eventually I would like to go back to OB in some facet, just because, I just kind of think it's the coolest. But I think that allowing this journey to shape me and change me for the better, honestly, ultimately, it's the best outcome I could have asked for. And that's not to say that I didn't have hard days and there weren't days that I struggled, but honestly, for the most part, when I felt that struggle, I just reminded myself that my path is my own. It's my own. And I don't want to say that, I went through it for a reason. I guess I kind of do feel that way. And again, that's just maybe like the optimistic part of me, that I just have to inherently believe that any kind of struggle that I go through is for a reason. And even if I can't see that reason in the moment, eventually, I think the light bulb will click and I'll be like, okay. But all of these things that we experience in life is to push us and evolve us to something. And I do think that a lot of it is up to us. to kind of make that decision, which I think that's the kind of like the cool thing about life is it's up to us to make the decision which way we want to go with it. And that's, you know, I say all of this, and I would never want to make someone feel badly about struggling with their journey with infertility and or loss, because that's valid and real. But I do think that we have a choice with how we deal with it. And, you know, not everyone's lives are the same. We aren't entitled to anything. Honestly, I am not entitled to have anything that I want work out the way that I want it to. And I say this having gone through a whole lot in the last 5 years of my life. That's the second part of this video that I might make someday. I might not. I haven't really decided. But I have experienced an incredible amount of disappointment and loss in the last definitely 5 years of my life. And if there's anything that like I have taken away, it's that I truly, like, I'm not a special being and I'm not entitled to anything really, which some people might say that that's kind of like a downer, but it gives me a lot of peace and comfort to kind of acknowledge and just know that, you know. I think it makes the disappointments in life less difficult to deal with, but it also makes the good things that much better and makes me really, really grateful and lucky that I do have what I have. So that in a nutshell, I don't know how long of a nutshell that really was, but that's just kind of been my experience. So if you listen to this whole thing, thank you. I appreciate it. Wherever you're at in your journey, I just want to encourage you to just like stick it out, just to tough it out. Take breaks, man. If you're feeling like mentally and emotionally and physically that you just need to like step away from it all, do it. And do it for however long you need to. You know, we took a 2-year break because that is what I needed to do. And it can be kind of scary in the moment, but so necessary. So keep fighting. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.